All right. So today on this episode of Drink It Straight, we got a couple of cool things to talk about.
Yeah, we got a few cool things. Firstly, we talked about the Widow Jane last week. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, no, I just thought, each week we present bottles. I'll bring one to the table, you bring one to the table, and we'll share. We talked so much about the Widow Jane last week that that's the one that I wanted to bring today. It's, like we said, they distill it out, I guess, in New York. And this is a 10-year aged. It's got some different spices and everything to it, but it's not too harsh. That's one of the things. We'll try it here, and let's just go ahead. But that's one of the things. I'm not a huge I'm more on the mellow side of things. Maybe some weeded, whatnot. But for me, this had a great spice without being a harsh burn, if that makes sense.
Well, I think the key word when we saw a guy review it, it was peppery. You know
Peppery,
what I mean?
that's a great way of putting it, yeah.
When you think of peppery, sometimes when you drink something, you think there's going to be like this big spice to the end of it.
Right.
This one, surprisingly, we both kind of, when we tried it, we were like, a really good pepper probably would really go good with a cigar, especially like a Placentia cigar, because that is instant pepper on the lips to the tongue.
But delicious nonetheless. This is definitely not something I'm drinking as a daily drinker. I think it's too strong for that as far as the flavor. Yeah. Not necessarily the proof or anything, because I think it's it's only let's see. Yeah, it's only a 91 proof, so it's not, high as far as the alcohol content, but just the when I say strong, just strong with those flavors, that peppery flavor.
Well, I'm curious too, I think I sent you something recently talking about the water on, the top of the whiskey, like just adding a couple drops to it, really bringing out the flavor. I'm curious what that would be like, adding just a couple drops in there. What flavors would come to the top as part of that? But I know there's like that video I sent you, there's a chemical that's in it.
Yeah.
When you put the drops of water into bourbon, it instantly brings out that flavor to be more profound in your mouth.
I'd be interested to see about smoking this one.
Mm-hmm.
We just got into smoking our bourbon a little bit. Tried it really for the first time this past week, and this one, just because of the different notes and tastes and everything, I think it'd be interesting. I don't know. We don't have that here in the studio. We don't have the smoker. We'll have to bring it in.
You'll have to try it out. Especially with that oak. I know it came with like 5 different types of chips, but I know we've been heavily relying on the oak ones. What I brought is a Blue Run. The Blue Run High Rye. For those of you like hardcore bourbon people, you've known about Blue Run for a while. It used to be a bottle was like, it seemed like they were like $400, $500 for a bottle. Now you can get them reasonably within $80 to $150 a bottle once they really expanded. This bottle I brought, it was the spring batch, bottle 2513, and it was from February 28th of 2022. The reason I say all that is because I have one that came out 2 months later. Doesn't even kind of taste the same.
Really?
It does not. So me and my father-in-law actually both got these, and the vanilla that comes off of it, it's the high rye, super good, very, very good. And then we had one that came out 2 months later. Honestly, it's not nearly as good.
So what do you think contributes to that? Do you think like where it's at in the rick house, or just the batch? Is it a small batch? Is it single barrel? What do you think constitutes the flavor difference that much?
Blue Run blends.
Okay.
So they blend, and you wouldn't think, if they're labeling something the same, you'd expect it to taste significantly close. In this case, no, it didn't even come close. So that's why I'm pretty picky about when I bring out this bottle, because I know it's sort of going to be a one of one kind of thing.
Sure.
And I feel really lucky to have gotten it. So let me pour you a little bit.
So the rye is going to be a more of a stronger flavor. It's not going to be mellow like a wheat, right? So the rye is going to be a lot. What would you call it?
The rye's it's got its own flavor. You know, it's just a higher percentage of rye. I think it's isn't 10%. It jumps from 5 to 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, but honestly, I think it's really good.
Oh, you can taste the rye for sure. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah, it's good. It's vanilla-y, but I was just so surprised that the spring release from February of 22 would be so different than April of 2022. I guess it is one of those types of things where it's like you buy that bottle, it's gonna be.
Now, would you continue to buy this Blue Run knowing that every bottle you get is going to be different? Or is it like hey, I had it, it was cool, I don't need to continue to add to my collection on it?
Well, Blue Run, they have a lot of special edition stuff that comes out too. I think it's one of those companies that you really are just buying, like you're going to have that one bottle and not many other people are going to have it. I also have the Reflection, I think it's the Reflection 1 is the name. It's pretty good, but I don't think it's nearly as good as this one.
Gotcha.
But I know they have some bottles that go from like $300 to $400 to $500. I think they're definitely worth it. And from what I've heard from people, I've never heard anybody say they've spent the money on Blue Run and regretted it. You're definitely getting good flavor out of it.
Yeah. Well, very good. Well, normally we talk about our tours because usually each week we try to hit a tour of a different distillery.
Yep.
But we weren't able to do that this week, just timing. We had some other obligations that we had to hit. But I do want to ask you, next week we have it scheduled to go up to Buffalo Trace. So what are you hoping for and expecting and everything as we go through the Buffalo Trace tour next week? Because I know that Weller is one of your favorites.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
so we're going to be seeing, where that's coming from and everything. So give me a little foresight of what you think's how it's gonna be.
I think there are so many cool things about Buffalo Trace. I mean, from the employees that work there to just the history behind it. I mean, it is literally America's oldest continually run distillery. So even during the Prohibition, they got a license to still make bourbon for medicinal purposes, and I just think it's super interesting. I mean, there's something sort of romantic to me in a weird way about that history and going into those rick houses where guys have been working in it since the early 1800s, throwing barrels in there, and we're gonna be able to walk through there and they have barrels and I think even secret rick houses. I know I saw a video recently of what are like 30-year rick houses of the barrels that are aging 30 years or 35 years that people don't really get to go into. A cool thing about Buffalo Trace, number one, is it's free to do the tours, is what we discovered. And also we're going during Christmas time, and I've already seen that they are all decked out in lights, and they're sort of really pulling into the whole nostalgia of their property, and it's really cool.
Nice.
What about you?
No, well, I'm just excited to go. It's been quite some time since I've gone to Kentucky for any of the distillery tours, so I'm just excited to be back up there and going again. I'm as controversial as it is, and a lot of people think it's overrated. I'm a huge Blanton's guy, so going up there and seeing where that's created is exciting to me. But give me obviously I know you really like Weller, but of all of the Buffalo Trace products, what kind of what are your top 2 or 3, maybe top 5 Buffalo Trace products that you like?
Ooh, okay. I mean, no ballpark.
Anything. Yep.
Well, I'm a huge Weller 12 fan. I know that's something that that's also a controversial one. People say 107's better and it costs less, or you might as well get the single barrel or the CYPB. Some people say it's overrated. I just fell in love with it. I think it's an amazing bottle. I think
there's a giant price difference between all of those that you just mentioned
yeah.
too. I mean, you go through their whole collection and you can get like a special reserve for, depending on where you are in the country, between $40 and $100.
Yeah.
And then you can get the CYPB for $1,400.
Yeah.
So and then everything in between. What's the Weller 12 go for?
Weller 12, if you can, well, there's the price you should pay. There's a good price, and then there's the price people are going to make fun of you for. I'd say a good price obviously is retail. If you can get it around $50, I mean, you're lucky. But if you can get it, honestly, I wouldn't regret paying between 175 and 250 just because I love it so much. Like me and you kind of always say, it's not about the price you pay, it's how much you love the bottle. So I think the Weller 12, if it's $250, I'm definitely gonna buy it. But if you're paying anything over that, I think, I'd look elsewhere. That in also a favorite of mine that I've actually only had once, so I really can't say it's a favorite, but is Old Rip 10 year. I thought it was really good. I mean, I know on the website they say it's probably like $59 that they sell it for, but when I paid $100 for the glass, and I've seen the bottles go for about $8.99. And I've had like Pappy Van Winkle 12 year, even though they're not really the same, branch, but I think it's just a great bottle. What about you? What are your favorite? I know you're a Blanton's guy, but is there another product that you're into?
Just too rich for my blood sort of thing. I haven't had too many of them, but the Blantons and the Eagle Rare's kind of become a daily drinker for me. I can't afford it here in Tennessee, but whenever I traveled, I was able to get it at a much better price. That was good, but even the traditional Buffalo Trace. So really anything that Buffalo Trace has put out, I haven't disliked. So, but as far as ranking it, I mean, Blanton's is probably one of the top of mine that I've had thus far.
Right.
Weller's great too. I mean, I don't have anything against Weller. I just my palate, my taste, I enjoy the Blantons.
Yeah. I mean, the Blantons. It's funny because like I've had Blantons before, but I haven't had it as much as when I'm with you. When we go to the cigar lounge and you bring it with you. I've been exposed to it a little more. I do enjoy it. It's not my favorite, but I've come to actually appreciate it a lot more since we've been hanging out. So.
Well, when we were playing poker the other night, you kept downing it, so you must liked it a little bit.
It was between. What I was doing, and I actually did it with Chad, was I had the Eagle Rare I put in the glass, but then I also put the Blantons in it, and I was blending them together, and we'd smoke it with the oak. So
nice. Well, very good. So one of the things that we're going to do a lot more for our videos, even outside the podcast, so that you can see is blind tastings.
Yep.
But we thought, here at the office, we had a handful of Buffalo Trace products. So maybe next week, after we go do the tour, maybe we bring in some of our other products and kind of do the same thing again, but maybe with some other products. Maybe we do a bracket system. I don't know. But today in the office, we have 3 different Buffalo Trace products. One being just your traditional Buffalo Trace. Another one is we have the Weller Special Reserve. We have Benchmark Foolproof. And so of these 3 now, a lot of crap has been given over the Benchmark Foolproof.
Yeah, I'm going to fight those guys. I feel attacked every time I see a review about it.
So online, people who review it, it does not stand up too well on the reviews. I mean, people definitely throw some shade. They don't care for it. I liked it. I didn't have anything wrong with it. It wasn't going to be make the top of any of my lists.
Yeah,
but it definitely wasn't bad by any means. I mean, it was still a delicious bourbon especially for the price.
Yeah, and I think for me it was more of like the price. The price for what you get of the bourbon on that bottom shelf, with the Evan Williams and all that. I definitely thought it was the best of those, at least.
Yeah, if any of you listen, have it in your area. See, we can't get it. It's not allocated here in Middle Tennessee, so we got it whenever we were out of state. But it is between $20 and $25 a bottle, and it is, made at the same place as Buffalo Trace and Weller, and all these others. But the Foolproof is the one that we have here. So the Benchmark Foolproof. Here, hand me that bottle. Let's grab that bottle. And so we're looking, of these 3 that we're looking at, grab the other 2 as well. The Foolproof is 125 proof. And it's a Kentucky Straight bourbon whiskey. The Buffalo Trace that we talked about last week, that we brought to the table last week, is Let me see here. 45. So yeah, so it's 90 proof. So it's gonna be significantly lower alcohol content. And then the reserve is the special reserve by Weller is also a 90 proof as well. So like I said, we have the Benchmark Full Proof, we have the Buffalo Trace, and we have the Weller Special Reserve in no specific order. I have it laid out here for Mike to try, and I want you to tell us what you think about these three, and then tell us what you like, rate them first through third, and then also see if you want to guess which one's which as well.
Right. And also, sorry, as a side note, I just want to say the Benchmark Top Floor is my favorite. Now, the Full Proof's great, but the Top Floor is still $25, and that one, it tastes like your Blanton's. So I want to, let's try these out. So
Which one are you going to do first?
I'm going to kind of go backwards. I'm going to do C.
C, okay.
Okay. Let me see this. That is the Weller Special Reserve,
Okay.
I think. For C. No, B.
I did some heavier pours for him, so he can go back and
Yeah.
try it a couple of times.
I'm just taking my time. I'm trying to do a good job.
Yep.
I think that's Buffalo Trace.
Okay.
This is either Full Proof or Special Reserve.
Okay.
I think A and B taste better. I think they're a little more pleasant. But
So, which one do you like the best, do you think, out of these?
B. It goes B. B is number one. Let me check these last two.
Yep.
B, A, C.
B, A, C. Now, that's your opinion on what you like. Now tell me
Yeah.
what did you say was what?
I think B.
What did you think A was? Let's go in order. What did you think A was?
I think A is Special Reserve
Okay. What did you think B was?
Buffalo Trace.
Okay. And then what did you think C was?
Full Proof.
Okay. And you said
B tastes the best. C tastes the worst.
okay. So you were wrong on all accounts.
Really?
Yes. So, and I would like to say that to all of you out there who rate Full Proof as trash.
Are you kidding
He
me?
just said that his least favorite was the Full Proof.
Really?
Yep. So Benchmark is C.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I didn't put the, yeah, there you go. Benchmark is C.
Wow.
Okay. And Buffalo Trace was actually
Are
A.
you really?
and yeah, so you said that Weller, which you're a Weller fan. I mean, no, granted, maybe
Yeah,
not the Special
no,
Reserve,
I
but like
love
Weller in
Weller.
general, you enjoy. But yeah,
Wow.
so Weller was the B. So obviously you don't know what you like, but
Well,
yeah, so that's.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
I knew Benchmark wasn't going to come in at the top. I thought my top pick would be Buffalo Trace.
Really?
I really did, because I enjoy that bottle so much. I mean, I honestly just think it tastes great, but my logic behind it was what was spicy. But I didn't realize Weller Special Reserve Buffalo Trace are both 90.
Yeah, they're going to
I
be
did
very
not
similar.
realize
Yeah.
that. So I, for some reason, thought the Weller would be spicier, and I thought obviously the Buffalo Trace would be a little more mellow, and I prefer that 90 to 105, 110
Yep.
range.
Yep, me too.
So man, that's actually really funny. That's so
it
actually
made my day about the benchmark.
and here's the thing, though. You got to think about people complaining about how they can find a better bottle than Weller. Okay, I actually put it in the actual order that price is. I put it from most expensive to least expensive because I chose B, A, C. So I chose Weller Buffalo Trace, the benchmark.
So your flavor of what you said was best was the most expensive bottle.
Yeah.
But what you were, yeah, I get what you're saying.
So I actually, people hate on Special Reserve. They hate on those other ones. They say other bottles are better, but I did, without knowing it, choose the most expensive bottle going down to the cheapest bottle.
Right.
Which actually kind of makes me feel really good about my palate because it means I know what tastes good. But, actually, I'm really impressed with myself a little bit right there. Do you want to do a blind?
No.
No?
I'm
Okay.
good. But yeah, so I don't know. We'll do another one. Maybe next week or the following week we'll do another one just so that we can maybe have some other products,
Wow, that is... I don't know. I'm actually a little dumbfounded by this.
I figured as much with the benchmark coming in 3. I mean, it is a higher proof. We tend to not go that high in proof for our palate, and it is a cheaper product. So it doesn't surprise me that came in 3rd in the blind.
Right.
However, if I was to ask you before even drinking any of these, hey, place these in the order, they might be a little bit different. I don't know.
If I had placed it in the order, honestly, I think I would have put the Weller last.
Really?
But of these 3.
But you tasted it as number 1.
Right.
So
if I'm being honest, I would have placed it Buffalo Trace is number 1, Benchmark is number 2, and Weller is number 3. This Weller, the Special Reserve Green Label.
But if it was a full proof or a 12-year or a Antique 107,
so Green Label and full proof, I actually like the least.
Really?
I think Weller 12 straight up is amazing. Same with CYPB. Same with the single barrel. 107 though, the darker
Antique
red label,
107, yep.
That I think is amazing on the rocks. That is one drink that I would actually, because you know me, I drink things neat.
Yep.
I would order that on the rocks. I think it tastes great that way.
Nice. Well, very good. Very good. Well, to wrap up today's episode, let's talk a little bit about. I am newer in my collections than you are. You've been doing this for quite some time, so I don't have obviously the collection that you do. But explain to me some, maybe your top 3 to 5 bottles that you have that are over $100.
Okay.
So I only have a couple that are. So obviously my Blanton's, which some would argue you shouldn't pay over $100 for it, but that's one of my most expensive. I paid $189, which people would fall out over, but I really enjoy. But what in your collection? You obviously have several bottles, and I think Weller 12 will be in that list for sure.
Yeah.
But give us some others, maybe your top 3 to 5 that you think are over $100 that are kind of must-haves in that price range.
Well, the Weller 12 for sure. I can't really say that Stag you got me yet because I've been saving that for when I go whitetail hunting here pretty soon. But I'm actually assuming that's going to be one of them because of just the way I've seen it rated between, guys who do reviews. I've seen it sort of rated in that Weller to, E.H. Taylor range. So I definitely think that's going to be one of them. But I'll be honest, the Elijah Craig 18, that was one I really loved. I paid probably $200 for that. But I mean, here's the other thing: is I do have bottles over $200 or over $100, but I don't think they're all worth it. Like my Weller Full Proof is, I don't think it quite makes the cut for me, and that one's probably my most expensive of all of them.
The Full Proof, is that around?
That's between $250 to $399 is a good range. Also, like the Woodford Reserve ones I have, those Masters collections, those are great, but I wouldn't say I'd buy them again. Only because they're so complex. I feel like I have to, give an explanation even to myself every time I drink it. It's not really something easy to drink. I do like that most recent one we got, the number 19.
Yeah.
The Sonoma Triple Finish, but other than that, I mean, those are probably my top 3 right there.
Very good. All right. Well, y'all, thanks for listening. Next week, like we said, we have some appointments up in Kentucky at Buffalo Trace, so
Yep.
we're excited to go check that out and see what they got going on up there. But we'll be back. We'll do some more tastings, some more maybe another blind. Who knows?
Yep.
But, all right, you got anything else?
No, that's it. And honestly, probably next time when this airs, we're actually probably going to be there.
We
around
will
this
be
time.
there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So awesome. Well, we're excited to tell you about it when we come back. We'll have a Buffalo Trace episode about our experience. And we'll see you guys next week.